Live from historic Fort Andros in downtown Brunswick, your way to wake up on the Mid-Coast. The Mid-Coast Morning Buzz. Richard Kazimer, Jim Blykamp, Radio 9, Wcme.
Hey, Jim, I hate to spring this on you, but I quit. I'm done. This is the last show I'm doing with you, buddy. And you know what? And blame it on Governor LePage, because I'm sick of that fat lard, and I'm out of here. Out of here at 10 o'clock. Man. That's the way it is. So there you go. 3 more hours out of me, and that's it.
Richard, in his usual comic, entertaining fashion, is preempting an announcement that he knew I was just about to make, which saddens me to make. Richard is, in fact, he's for once not kidding there. He really is leaving the morning follies that we do here together. This is his last day.
Yeah.
And now I just want to talk about this for a moment. I have some things that I think are important to say. Richard told me this about a week and a half ago. I've been keeping it under wraps, partly because, I don't like to deal with it. I don't like to deal with it, just mentally and emotionally. It is my feeling, and Richard and I were talking about this off the air the other day. We started this program, the Mid-Coast Morning Buzz, in early February. Not that long ago. What is that? That's
it's like
March,
5 months?
April, May, June. It's 4 months, really. It's about 4.5 months. That's all it's been.
Yeah.
I think it was February 4th was the first day. I'd have to go back and check. We started, as one might expect on a Monday. And
with my track record, you're lucky you got that much out of me.
But, the radio station itself, of course, Wcme, at 900 on the dial, has existed in one form or another on the Mid-Coast since 1955, with maybe a few interruptions. But we brought it back on a committed community service basis on October 17th of last year. But I have to say, and those who have followed the development of the station will already know this, it was Richard, on or about February 4th, who began to give this station the personality that it's hopefully has today in larger form. But it all began with Richard and what he has done and accomplished as the primary host of the WCME Mid-Coast Morning Buzz, starting in early February. And the fact that it seems, at least to me, that much more than 4.5 months have gone by, I think is an indication on some level of the mountainous nature of what Richard has accomplished here and the extent to which we've gone a long way in some respects in a short period of time. I want to just make a couple notations here. If you dial around the radio in the modern era, you can do it this morning, you'll find that a lot of radio stations have team morning shows, and we do too. It's the Mid-Coast Morning Buzz with Richard and Jim. But primarily what I do here is informational. I do the news on the top and bottom of the hour, and I do a few other things. But it is largely Richard's show. It is much of the time a one-man show. And I would say that when you have Richard Kazimer hosting your morning show, you really don't need a team, because Richard has a way of performing the functions of a team. I mean, part of it is he suffers in some sense from multiple personality syndrome. He talks.
Well, I do, but I don't.
But that has entertaining benefits. Now, I have sometimes, as I think, if you stay with us till 10 o'clock in the morning, you know that I sometimes duck out of here and do other things between 9 and 10 o'clock just out of necessity. And sometimes I'm out on the road in the 9 o'clock hour listening to Richard basically just have a very entertaining, intriguing conversation with himself. On more than one occasion, I've heard him pose a question and then answer it.
You heard that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I hear it all. I hear it all. It's very entertaining. It's very compelling.
All right, well, thank you for that, Jim. You've been too modest. You've done the heavy lift, getting the station up and running yourself.
You do a lot of things, but I'm talking about what happens directly on the air, which you provide.
You do it all. It's been great fun. I'm glad I could come up here and help to contribute to this and get this thing up and running. I love coming back to my hometown, my home area. Through the course of this morning show, we will talk about what I'm going to do. But basically, when when you hear a politician or a corporate head say that they're leaving their position to spend more time with their family, and you know that's not what they're doing.
That's true.
Seriously, I'm leaving to spend more time with my family.
Well,
I'm not kidding.
We've talked. We have discussed the fact that Richard to do this has been apart from his immediate family much of the time, which is in Massachusetts, and that has been a sacrifice on his part. So it's fair to say that's part of the equation here. The Midcoast Morning Buzz will continue Monday morning. It will be different in some respects because there will be a new player involved, but I would say the basics will be the same, and we will miss Richard Kazimer.
And I will miss you.
Richard, as you may have noticed there, made a reference to wrapping this whole thing up today. Again, if you're just joining us, we talked at some length about this just after the 7 o'clock news, but we'll be touching on it throughout the morning because we have, as is the nature of morning shows, an audience in transition, people joining, leaving the program at all moments of the morning. And Richard,
I'm going with him.
Richard, and I was stunned by the news when Richard told me about a week and a half ago that he has some concerns and issues that require him to leave the program. Not my idea. I'm very happy with what we built here, but these things happen, and
one of the reasons that I'm leaving that I have yet to tell Jim is that, I'll do it now. Jim, remember that Waterford crystal that belonged to your grandmother that you brought into the station? Hey, listen, I just want to interject here and express my gratitude to Jim, the listeners, all our guests, everybody on Facebook for making my stay here in the Midcoast Morning Buzz just a wonderful, enjoyable experience. If you just joined us, this is my last show in the Midcoast Morning Buzz. It will continue in great form. And Jim, don't start or I'm going to shut your microphone off. I just want to, again, express my sincere gratitude to you and everything you've done here at Radio 9 Wcme. It's a wonderful venture, and you have been Herculean in your heavy lift to get this thing off and running, and you're doing a fantastic job. And I thank you sincerely for all you've done here.
Thank you very much, Richard. I do want to say, and it's just the plain and simple truth, you have moved us considerably forward here. Every time I cannot wrap my head around the fact that we started this program only less than 5 months ago. That's all it's been. Yeah. It seems like about 5 years, and that's not at all for any negative reason. Quite the opposite. I mean, we have just done so much, and the station has moved so tremendously forward, in large part because of yourself.
Well,
There's so many things. No, I want to say this. There's so many things that Richard has done behind the scenes. I do quite a bit behind the scenes. I mean, there are all kinds of things that happen in radio that heighten the air product that have to happen first off the air and behind the scenes, and some of it's pretty ugly stuff that you don't want to see or hear about. But Richard has done all kinds of things, particularly of a technical nature. Richard is a far better techie than I am. For me, I'm still working on basic light bulb screw-it-in technology. But Richard really moved us forward.
You do well. Jim, my finger's moving close to your mic off button. Well, the reason I bring this up now is that during the 9 o'clock hour, Jim always goes out and gets himself probably his 4th coffee of the day.
No, it's only my 2nd.
All right. Well, he's usually gone for a good length of time.
No, I'm not gone for a good length. I'm gone for 10 minutes.
Okay, so good length of time as far as I need, because what I'm going to do now is while you go out, and by the way, I'll give you a couple of bucks to bring me back something, is that I'm going to swing the truck around and start stealing the furniture.